Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. This video is a story time. It is what the caption said. It's about my adoption, and it's basically the story of why I was adopted and why I also no longer speak to my quote-unquote biological father's side of the family. It's kind of not an easy video, but let's just go ahead and jump right in. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Real quick, this look is what palette did I use? The MacBook by the Crayon Case. Lashes are mine. I have my own little company. You can go to worldgangcosmetics.com and purchase these lashes. These are Lash Savage. The yellow pigment in, I did a little bit of green pigment, is from Mayo Makeup. They have amazing neon pigments. Brows, you guys already seen my brows tutorial. It's just a Wet n Wild lippy. Cheeks highlight is Wet n Wild as well. Foundation, Fit Me. Lips, Royal Kisses. I have a PR code with them. So if you would like to shop anything Royal Kisses, just use Purple Haze 15 for 15% off. Okay? Now let's go ahead and hop right into this video. I'm going to do a story time, and if you can tell by the caption, it may or may not get a little emotional. We'll see. So, if you don't know, I was adopted at a very young age. So it's like I wasn't in the system for very long. I do remember bouncing a few houses, but like I said, I was really young, so I don't remember everything. But I was adopted like before I was 5. So I wasn't like out here bouncing, like no one to love me. You know what I mean? Like I was adopted pretty quickly. The family that adopted me, that's like the only family I've ever known. So like I have a mom, I have a dad, I have over 10 brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? Like they were named foster parents of the year, even a few times. Like they have plaques and stuff that used to hang on the wall. And there was always foster kids in and out. And I just kind of always liked having kids like around. So like I'm a kids person. So I'm gonna say around the time I would start to be like a preteen, like I'm gonna say like 13, 14, I just started feeling like, I don't want to say incomplete, but incomplete. Like I started feeling like these little feelings, like I just wanted to know more, like about me. Where did I come from? Do I have like brothers? Do I have sisters? Like, you know what I mean? Like you just get curious. My mom always kind of got upset by the question. She didn't really want to talk about it, which you'll see by the end of the video. And I understand why. My dad told me, but he was just like, nothing really was said much. I would ask like really direct questions, and I really wouldn't get like direct answers back, if that makes any sense. So like in spite of like my feelings, I just decided like to stop asking my parents about it, because I feel like they kind of hurt their feelings. So I kind of let it go for a while. When I say a while, like I didn't even bring it back up until after I was an adult. They told me how to go about like finding like information. They told me names. They gave me like a little bit more information than they gave me when I was a preteen. So, and then I left it at that. And then I kind of just did my own thing for a few years. And it wasn't until spring kind of / summer of 2000, it was either 2012 or 2013 when I met them. And this is how I met them. I was working with a guy who has now passed away. His name was Willie Hall. He was really nice, and he was giving me rides to work. We worked at the same place, and we like kind of lived on the same street. So he just kind of swooped me, and then we went to work. And he kept calling me by my biological mom's name, which in my head, I knew her name already, but I don't know why he was calling me. And I was just like, I let like the first time slide, because like he switched it up and then was calling me my name. And then just one day I was just like, he had called me it again, but he didn't correct himself. So I'm just like, why do you keep calling me by such and such name? He was like, that's not your name. What I say? I thought I said blase blase. And he was like, I'm like, no, you call me by my biological mom's name. He's like, this person is your mom? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but I've never met her though. I was adopted. Like, I don't even know where to start to finding her or them, or if there even is still a her or them. So he was like, I know where your grandmothers stay on your dad's side and this and that. And I was like, shut up. So like on the way to work, like, I'm like, can we pass by? Like, can you just like show me? So like whenever like I get like courage, I'm gonna go knock on the door and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's nerve wracking. Like, so I instantly was like, flush. I started feeling warm. I was nervous. And we drove by my quote unquote alleged father's mother's house. So alleged grandmother. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's where she stays. Okay. Well, I don't want to knock on the door. Like, we gotta get to work. Okay. So like I was nervous. I was thinking about it all day at work and it was just mind boggling me. And I didn't even actually end up knocking on the door. We're gonna go ahead and rewind right here. Till about a month, maybe 2 months later, about 2 months later. And this was only because I had met up with his sister at a gas station and I was like, oh, hey girl, how you doing? Da, da, da. And she was doing the same thing. Oh, you look so much like your mom and I know where your grandmother stays. And she actually was going the same direction I was going. So I was like, hey, you need a ride? And I just, she's like, let's stop. And I was just like, she was really talking me into stopping. And this was a Sunday night, I think it was a Sunday night. Don't get me lying on dates and times and days and all that. We ended up stopping and I got out the car and she knocked on the door for me and my heart is racing. And like I said, I instantly was flushed. I was nervous and like I wanted to pass the freak out. Like, cause I don't know these people. I don't know if they're gonna accept me. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why they gave me up. I don't know if they're gonna shun me away. Like, I was just nervous. So the grandmother, alleged, didn't answer the door. And I was actually relieved because like I wasn't ready. I really just was not ready. And I'm like, all right, I'm sorry, girl. Like, so I ended up dropping her off where she needed to go, went back my direction where I was going, headed home. And I thought about it for, I'm gonna say about another week, 2 weeks. And I was with somebody else. It was a roommate of mine. I lived in a huge house with like a bunch of other people and it was like a mess. And I was like, couldn't wait to get out of there. It was freaking crazy. But this girl, I was like, she was talking to me and I was like, she's like, what's on your mind? You've just kind of been like staring off into space past few days. And I'm like, I'm thinking, like, I'm deep into thought. And I was like, I could have possibly have met my biological grandmother. And she was like, no way. Like, where are they at? Like, do you want to go? And at the time, I didn't have no kids, but this was my son's father, who I was with at the time. We were kind of like not getting along that day. So I'm like, yeah, girl, let's just get out. Let's just go. Like, I'm gonna do it. Let's just do it. You want to come with me? Because I kind of need support. She came with me and I was like, I want you to kind of sit in the car. Like, let me do this. Let me do this. So she sat in the car. I knocked on the door. She answered it. Instantly, I couldn't get words together. I started, you know how you get when you're nervous. You stutter, you can't say things. Like, this is gonna be weird, quick little fact about me. I don't drip sweat from my face. As big as I am, I know y'all be like, this big. My face doesn't just like drip sweat. I'll get like oily and shiny, but I won't like pour sweat from my face. I promise you, it started trickling down my face. I was nervous. Okay, guys, like, I couldn't deal. I couldn't get words out. And she was like, your typical kind of like black mother when a woman's knocking on their door who has sons. So this was her first response and it shocked me. And I still couldn't get words together until I finally said something. She was like, if you're looking for one of my sons, they not here. And I was just like, no, honey, I'm not looking for any of your sons. Well, not yet, because obviously one of them would have been my biological quote unquote alleged father. And I'm like, I'm not looking for any of your sons. She's like, well, what are you doing here? I was like, is your name okay, let me rewind because I don't want to say anybody's name. So I was like, is your name blah blah blah. Anyway, and she was like, motherfucker, you knocked on my door, you're asking my name, who are you? And she just started going off and I'm just like, like my heart like sunk into my chest, my stomach fell out my butt, like I'm just like I wanted to freaking cry. And I'm like not no weak person. I was just really nervous. I'm 22, 23 years old. Cause like I said, I wasn't sure the exact time of my age, but that was around the time. Wasn't sure like what to say, what to do. And I didn't want to disrespect this lady in any type of way. Cause I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't want this to go terrible and blow up in my face. Oh, because I got anger issues and I know I'll say the wrong thing at the wrong time and I'll mean it at the time. And then when it passes, I'll be like, dang, probably shouldn't have said that. Okay, so I'm just like, ma'am, listen, a lady and a nice gentleman told me that you were my biological grandmother and I was just knocking on the door to see if this is where she stayed. Now I'm looking for such and such, such and such. Are you her? Do you know her? My biological name when I was born was Asa. I was like, and I told her that. I was like, my name used to be Asa and I'm just looking for my mother. And she was like, Asa. And started screaming, started jumping and came in to hug me. And I was like, whoa, because I was nervous. I wasn't sure if she was going to swing on me because still it was all so like, it was crazy. She started hugging me and jumping and started crying. And I started crying like, and it was really, it got emotional then. And then it was a lot, you guys. It was so overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh. I just didn't know like what to say. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm Asa. Like, that's who I am. It's not my name no more because when I was adopted, it did get changed. But I'm like, yeah, I'm Asa. Like, I'm her. Like, I'm here. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was just like, come in, come in. She's like, oh my God, this is your little brother right here. And I'm like, oh my God, and he looks just like me. He's so chubby. He's so cute. He had these cute little cheeks. And I'm like, ah. He's like, these are your nieces and nephews. And I was just like, I just started meeting all these people so quickly. And I was just like, oh my God. They were all so cute. They were adorable. They were fun. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, I was just flipping out when I was just like, I couldn't stop saying, oh my God. Like, y'all, like, you just didn't know. Like, it was overwhelming. And like, in my mind, I'm like, this quote unquote emptiness or not feeling whole. Like, maybe this is it. Like, I don't know. And at this point, I wasn't like, okay, I'm whole. I met everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't just happen like that. So she was like, do you know any of your brothers? Do you know you have a mother? Do you know you have a sister? Do you know you have 2 more brothers? And I'm just like, oh, I don't know any of you guys. Help me. So she's just like, 2 of your brothers live here in town. And I was like, huh? Now listen, when I was able to drink and I hit 21, okay, I drank before I was 21. Let's get real. But when I was of drinking age and club age to like get into doors, I'm not gonna say I was the hell. I just knew my way around some things, okay? Like, let's just get real, okay? I was 20 fucking 1. Anyway, my first instinct off rip was like, I really hope, like, I don't like know these guys. Like, I will never get over myself. I will never forgive myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I shouldn't have, like, I was just like, crazy things were just running through my head. So she ended up calling one of my little brothers, because they're both younger than me. I'm older than both of them, I think. I'm older than both. So he answered because, okay, it's his grandmother, and his kids were there, and I had already met his 2 children that he had at the time. And she was like, Ace is here. She's on the front doorstep and she wants to see you. And listen, at this time, she didn't tell me the kid's name because I didn't, or she might have told me, but I forgot. But his little girl, he named after me. Well, not like her full name. Like, her full name is more than just Asa, but the name Asa's in her name. So when you say her name, it's got Asa at the end of it. So he was like, who just dropped my daughter off? She was supposed to be blah, 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 and he was just going on. And he was like, calm down. I am talking about your sister that's been missing since day 1. Like, she's here. And he was like, what? And he's like, on my way, and hung up. And I'm just like, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm nervous to meet these guys. Like, I don't I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I wasn't ready, like, to just meet everyone and just, like, jump in. Like, they were all just gonna be right there in my face. And just, like, and like I said, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready. So I was just, like, low-key tripping balls, you guys. Like, I wasn't ready. So we sat there and she was just like, how have you been? Like, where have you been? And I basically told her where I grew up, which is 20 minutes away from the town we're in. She was like, that's it. We thought you were, we looked for you here. We looked up your name there. We drove over here. We went on dummy missions. And they were just telling me about how all these things that they, excuse me, tried to do to like find me. And I was like thinking in my head, wow, that's a lot. And I'm only 20 minutes away. Like, crazy, cuz, like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still just kind of, I'm happy at this point. I'm not mad at anybody. And like, I had got a few stories beforehand, like going into the situation, and for me to not like watch my back, but just be careful and just like be mindful of like who these people are, and like just don't get your feelings hurt, and like don't expect a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't expect this huge welcoming family and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay. But like, as going into it, I didn't expect them to just automatically be like, oh, we accept you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just expecting, like I said, I was expecting to get shunned away, like, go away. We gave you for a reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was nervous. Like, I was defensive a little bit because, like I said, I didn't know what was going to happen. So he wasn't far. He was just in the town I'm in. I'm still in the town. It's not far. He was just across town. It wasn't very far. He pulls up with him, his baby mother, and my other brother, so his brother. And I instantly was like, I had my head down because like I didn't know, like I didn't want to look up. Like, I was nervous, guys. I'm so nervous. I didn't want to look up. So I just had my head down and I was looking down. And he's like, your brothers are here. And I was like, I know. I hear them. So I looked up and looked at them and I was like, okay, thank God. First of all, the thought through my head, because like, you know, I was like, oh, I ain't never seen these guys in my life. Thank you, Jesus. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are handsome. Like, I didn't know what to say. Like, they're not ugly. So I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are handsome. I'm like, hi guys. Like, I'm so-and-so. And the one brother was he just hugged me so tight and was like, where have you been? Like, where have you been? And I was just like, yeah, I grew up here. They're like, that's only like 15, 20 minutes away. I'm like, I know. Like, I was right there the whole time. Like, cool, everything was fine. I met the baby mom, we talked, and like I got on Facebook, showed her some pictures of me. Like, I had like some little kid pictures of me, and like just showing pictures, you know, like I'm like, oh, this is so-and-so, this is your aunt, this is your uncle, this is that, this is who, this is them. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, this is me in high school, this is me there, this is me, because it wasn't much. Like, it's 2012, like what, I don't even remember what year Facebook started, so there wasn't much on my Facebook. And then back then, touchscreen phones were just coming out. So, you know what I'm saying? The quality of all the pictures were terrible. So, we ended up, actually my brother ended up getting in the car that I was in. We actually had to go to the next town over and return some items at a store. And he's just like, can you mind if I ride? Like, I just want to talk with you a little bit more. And I'm like, sure. Like, yeah, come on. So he rides with us, and the quote-unquote alleged grandmother lets me drive her well, it wasn't brand new. It was a couple years old, but it was a Cadillac. And I was like, she let me whip it, and they were all jealous because they weren't allowed to drive that, but she let me whip it, and I was like, oh, bitch. I was in that motherfucker. It was so nice. Okay. So, back to the story real quick. So, I ended up like, it was coming towards the end of the night, and they dropped me off, and like, it was a sad partying, and I was like, we can hang out tomorrow. It's cool. It's great. Da, da, da. And we ended up hanging out the next day. So that was the day that I met them, you guys. So I'm not gonna say like, oh, it was a terrible day. And actually I was really excited because they all seemed, quote unquote, seemed really nice. They seemed really genuine, and I was excited like to further my relationship with them. That makes sense. Oh, let me go on and back up. Let me go on and back up real quick. the brother ended up calling my sister, who actually is now passed away. And she got a hold of my mother because they lived together, but she wasn't home. And I actually talked to my mom's mom. So I met everyone actually that day as well, except for my sister. I didn't meet her. But I talked to her on the phone, and I talked to my mother on the phone. Sorry, I picked up something. And she was like, you look exactly like, they ended up coming down from where they were. And they were actually like 3 hours away. They ended up coming down to see me. And like a hug of this woman, like she hugged me so long. I've never been hugged this long before in my life. I was crying, she was crying. And they were, one thing I noticed, they were all really tall. And when I say tall, I'm tall for a woman, but like I grew up in a predominant, and when I say predominant me, I mean everybody was white, even the parents that adopted me. I have Black brothers and sisters that were adopted as well. So like us 3 women and my 2 brothers who didn't always live with us, they were like kind of just in foster care still, but they were with us a lot. And I actually still call them brother and stuff like that today because they still come around. Another story. But so us 3 Black girls, women now, go to this school of all white people. Another story. So everyone at that school is like white women. They get really tall, and like you would think I'd be the tallest one on the basketball team. Nope, wasn't. I'm 5'9", almost. I'm 5'8.5" now. I feel like I was taller back then in school. I feel like I've gotten shorter because like I was always like 5'10", 5'10.5" in school. Like that's what was written on all my paperwork. But I'm 5'8.5". I've been measured plenty of times. But anyway, but my mother, solid 6'4". Brother, solid 6'3". Solid. When I say solid, I mean they might be over. So I'm like, and then when I eventually met my sister, because she ended up coming down as well, solid 6'2", 6'3". These people were tall, and I was so confused. So when I'm taking pictures and my hands are on their shoulders, I'm just kind of like, I'm down here, guys. They're up there, and I'm just like, cool. More people I'm shorter than. Like, so I ended up meeting her, and my grandpa on my mom's side that's not like her biological dad, but that's someone who helped raise her. So that was my grandfather. So the day, like I said, the day was ending. They had all went back home, back to 2-3 hours away. And I had a last conversation with my brother in the car, and it was very like emotional. And we talked about some things, and then I got out the car. He hugged me, walked me to the door, and was like, hope this isn't like goodbye. Like, I want to keep seeing you. Like, I want you in my life. And I'm like, cool beans. We're in the same town. You're my brother. Why can't we hang out? So I ended up going over there the next day, and we hung out more. And like the situation I was in, like I talked to him about some things, and he was in a position to help me. Like, I was like, okay, like, well, I'm in this relationship that I really want to get out of, like, but I'm living with this guy. And he was like, instantly, oh, you can move in with me. And I was like, bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to get away from these people anyway, and like, I need to get to know y'all. So, makes sense. So let me go ahead and fast forward. He lived with me. I eventually got my own place. Or I lived with them, and I have eventually got my own place. They've lived with me, and vice versa. Like, we were back and forth living with each other a couple of times. When it started getting sour is when I just kind of started asking questions. And like I said, I came into the situation wanting to give everybody a chance. And I did that. I gave everyone a chance. I let everyone tell their story and say this, that, and the third, and whatever they felt like they needed to say. It wasn't until after my mother had passed, my biological mother had passed away, that like things started really going sour from there. I don't know why or what happened for real, but like that day that I met everyone, like it was a great day, but some things just weren't like, I was uncomfortable for sure because like I said, I was nervous, but there's just some things that just wasn't sitting right with me. And I thought like meeting them and getting to know them and being a part of their lives would fill that emptiness that I've like always kind of felt growing up. It didn't, which was weird. And I don't, getting off subject. Okay. So I was like, wait, what year was this? I don't really know what year it was. But anyway, so I was like asking my mom, I was like, okay, what do I do to go about like getting like documented paperwork on what happened? She was just like, oh, it got that bad, huh? And I was like rolling my eyes because like my mom's always that one, you know, she always has something to say. I was like, I just want the paperwork. And like, I'm not saying like the mother that raised me was a liar, or wasn't saying my grandmother was a liar, but I just want to know if it's on government documented court paperwork, then that's what I'm gonna believe. Just because everyone's pulling me in different directions, like, no, this happened, no, this happened, no, they did this, no, they did that, and I was just being pulled, and I'm just like, what's the court say? Because they're not gonna write down no lie and you sign it and that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I actually had to go to court to get this paperwork. So I got to court, I got my paperwork, and this is a story that was always told to me, was my quote unquote alleged grandmother on my dad's side. She told me the story pretty quickly, which is kind of like felt weird to me. It always felt weird because it's like, why are you telling me this? I didn't ask. And it was just like, you know, when people just start telling you things and then you don't ask and you're just like, yeah, okay, cool beans, like, cool story, bro. Like, you know, you guys know what I mean. So it's like, and she said the story more than once. Like, she was in her feels a little bit about it. Like, and I'm like, okay, you've made this known. Let's not talk about it anymore. Like, it's kind of uncomfortable. So that's kind of gonna be a long video, y'all, and I apologize, and I'm gonna edit it down as much as I can, but this just all has to, I'm just gonna get it out. So I got the paperwork. Oh, before I got the paperwork, the story that was told to me real quick was, I couldn't adopt you because this, that, and the third, and your other grandmother, which would have been my mom's mom, could have got you and she refused, and that's why you went into the system, and I always fought for you. I tried to get you so bad, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, cool beans, I don't care. I'm just here to give everyone a chance. If y'all gonna accept me, I accept you. The backstory doesn't really matter because I'm a 22-year-old, 23, 22-year-old adult, and I'm never gonna be a kid again. And like, you're never gonna get those memories. You're never gonna get those times with me. So like, let's move on from it. That's what I told her. She was like, fair enough, fair enough. We don't gotta talk about it. I'm like, cool. But yeah, some things were happening and I just wasn't feeling like the situation. And I was just like, I need to know what happened. Like, I just really want to know what happened. And like, I can't really trust what she's saying because it just is not, it's coming off funny to me. And I actually had asked my mom's mom, so my grandmother, because I actually call her Grammy. So I was asking my Grammy, I was like, what happened? She was like, I had no idea you were in the system. I guess my mother lost all of her children. She had a son, a daughter, then me, then another son, the younger one that I had a conversation with and got to meet and all this. My dad has more kids. That's why I got to meet other brothers and stuff like that, but they're not of this. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. She was like, it never was an option for me. Like, they never told me like, hey, you have a grandchild in the system. Do you want parts? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was never offered to her. She didn't know I was in the system. And for this exact reason, when my mom was losing her first child in court, or just was like in court for any children's services related issue, period, she, you know how you get when you're, oh, my mom's a drunk, I don't want her around my kids, da, 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 da. And the courts just dubbed her unfit as a grandparent, or just like as a person to take care of any more children. Like if she were to have more kids and they would go into the system. And the reason why we're going into the system, not really gonna go quick into detail about it, but my mom was a gangsta. When I say gangsta, I mean she's busting down houses. Don't care if you in that Janat. So that got her 20 plus years in prison straight. So she did prison time. So when I got thrown into the system, because I was with my quote unquote alleged father, is what I'm hearing and what kind of the paperwork was saying, for a minute. He ended up doing a bit. I don't remember if it was prison time or if it was just jail time, but he ended up doing it to the point where he couldn't take care of me. So I was put into the system. And this is what happened. And this is on the paperwork. And I actually remembered this because I ended up asking the grandmother. I'm just going to call her grandmother. And the one that I actually talked to today is Grammy. Just so I don't have to say names, because I'm not putting no names out there, because this is not being addressed again after today. It's crazy. So the grandmother, she was like, I was asking her questions. I was like, did you used to live? Because I'm just thinking, I was like trying to think deep into my memory. I was like, I remember this floor and it was checkered and it was like a really long floor. It wasn't like the room wasn't shaped in a square. It was just like really like oblong. It was long. She's like, oh, that was my kitchen on this house in this street. You had visitations with me. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So there was visitations going on. I remember that. I remember visitations with somebody. I don't remember who. And I remember playing on that floor with toys while we visited. I remember that. I'm not saying I remembered her per se, but I remembered that room. I just remember that. I don't know why I remember that. Probably because checkers is like one of my favorite board games. So of course I remember like the checkered floor. It was black and white. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up getting my paperwork. I feel like I'm skipping things. I'll probably end up going back, but it's fine. So I ended up getting my paperwork, and this video is already really long. So I ended up getting my paperwork, and it was basically a lot of what my mother was telling me. It's not saying I didn't want to believe her, but it's just like, I didn't want her, not saying she would do anything like this, but I just didn't want her to tell me things to not like them, because whenever I would bring them up, she just wasn't happy about like talking about them. Like she just thought they just weren't good people. She didn't want to surround herself with any memories of them. She didn't want to talk about them. She just didn't want that, period. She just didn't want any parts. So I respected that. But a lot of the things she told me was correct. And that was the part that sucked. Because I thought maybe she could have been just saying that just so I just like don't mess with them, because she didn't want them around her. And it sucked that a lot of the stuff she said was true. And my grandmother. Like her end of the deal, or I'm sorry, my Grammy, my mom's mom. Her end of the story checked out perfectly word for word on the paperwork. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that part before I say this part, because this is fucked up. Excuse my French. I don't want to cuss on my channel. Excuse my French. This was the messed up part. So it was word for word on the paper stating that grandmother of this child on the mom's side, and it just says her name with her birthday, and it says like a little side note, never contacted about situation. Basically what she told me checked out. She didn't know I was in the system. They never contacted her that I was in the system. That part checked out. I got to some more pages, flipping through a bunch of bull crap, just legal crap, and I got to my grandmother's side, my dad's mother's side. And I was like reading what happened with her. And this is where I just instantly got so, like my body just got warm, but not with like nervousness, but with anger. My body just flooded with anger. Like to the point where like, I'm burn down your house because I'm that mad. Not that I've ever done anything like that, but it's just like, I was so mad. But what it said was, and this is what my mother told me, she was like, you had visitations with quote unquote said grandmother, and she just stopped showing up. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like something happened? Like she couldn't get there? Like she was like, no, that room that you keep talking about, it was her kitchen. And she told me that was her kitchen. So I'm like, okay, those two stories match up. Cool. It's like, what's her kitchen? Like she was moving from that house. I don't know if she had a fire, like something happened to where she had to move from that house to another one. So we started doing visitations at a facility, like a children's services facility, or like just a facility, like a building. Like so visitation were no longer in her home. They were at a building where both parties had to meet up and go into and do the visitation. So she just stopped coming. That's what my paperwork said. That's what my mother had told me. I didn't want to believe it. And my first thought was a story she just kept telling me. Your other grandmother she could have got you and she just didn't. Like, it was just, it's all her fault. Wow, just puking up all these lies from the mouth. So I was like, cool. I instantly like was bawling my eyes out because I felt like I never have ever in my life felt like so like unwanted and lied to. So I was reading through the paperwork, and I'm not trying to cry because it's really fucked up. For a good portion of almost 7 months, my mother and father, mommy and daddy, pops, ma, took me to this visitation where this woman never showed. Never showed for months. They were dedicated. They were like, I'm pretty sure this was before I was adopted because that's why there were still visitations in place. So at that point, like an animal, I kind of just became property of the state. I didn't belong to anybody at this point. So, the county that I was in, courthouse and legal system over there was like, she's with you. Do you guys want her? And they adopted me on the spot. And I've been with them since. Like, that'll always be my mom. That will always be my dad. Those will always be my brothers and sisters. So I don't want to get too far off subject, but that was about, I really just wanted this video to be about how I met them and like what happened and like my situation and where we stand now. I haven't spoken to the quote unquote alleged grandmother in at least 5 years, going on 5 years now. It's a mess. It's been a mess. The brother, I speak to one of them, the one that let me live with them when we first spoke. We can never have a relationship. He has a lot of growing up to do. Whenever we would argue and get into it, things would be blown out of proportion, and that's like a whole another story. We can do another story time. And I don't even know if I want to talk about that because it's a mess. Just know, like, from the grandmother to the aunts to one uncle that actually speaks to me, so I can't even say anything bad about him, but to the uncles, they're dead to me, all of them. Like, the only thing I can say I can regret about the whole situation is I'm gonna miss out on my nieces and nephews' lives, which they're innocent beings in this like whole situation. So like, I'm gonna miss that, but that's probably the only thing that sucks about the whole situation. And I look back on that day and I was like, when I met them, like that whole day was just, I'm not gonna say it felt fake, but it just didn't feel real. Yeah. So if you guys really want to know, like, I mean, I guess I could do like a more in-depth story, but this video is already super long. But if you really want to know like a more in-depth story of what went on between my biological alleged quote unquote, I keep saying that because my biological father I asked him once and he refused a DNA test, because in my mind I'm like, I'm not like you people. I'm not like you guys. I'm not malicious, at least not on purpose. I mean, I've done mean things to people, we all have, but like, I'm not intentionally a bad person. I don't intentionally do things to ruin people's lives. Just like the drama, the pettiness is like something that they like thrive and feed off of. And those situations just make me nervous. And it's like, I've always wanted like a future where people know my name. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's famous, I want to be a star. Like, you know, everyone wants to be that. But like, I've always wanted something big to happen in my life. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't want all of this on me, or all this association with the drama, with the pettiness to like be on me. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't work with certain people because of like family members, or because of like drama, or because of like just crazy things. Like, to ask people in the industry like who keep getting into fights and going to jail, like they lose money for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna let them just like bring me down. And misery loves a company. And you guys all have that one friend or person or somebody you know who just, you had to cut off because like they're just bad juju. But that's, if you guys want the in-depth story of why I no longer speak to my biological father and like what he did, and then what my biological brother did, that can be a whole nother story. But you don't want to hear it, fine. I'm not really too excited on making another video about this, but I have a feeling you guys probably want to know. But I guess that's kind of it. We don't speak. When it's in public, I don't even make eye contact. I acknowledge their presence. Not saying I acknowledge it. I notice their presence, but they're not acknowledged as people that I know. I just walk by them like any other stranger I do on the street or in a store that I don't know or talk to on a regular. We just don't speak, and I prefer it that way. Since I've stopped speaking to them, it's like everything, since I stopped speaking to them and I stopped the drama, stopped the pettiness, I stopped the bull crap, I kind of just, I've turned who I am, or who they kind of turned me into, should I say. I can't just say they made me a certain type of person, but they kind of made me a very mean, malicious, they kind of made me like them, and I didn't want to be anything like them. Like, I didn't, the drama and always beefing with somebody and just always in people's business and just always, just something's always going on. I didn't want that. I, in the meantime, had ended up having 2 children in the midst of this 9 years that we were quote unquote a family. I didn't want my kids subject to it. I just didn't want to be around it. And ever since then, like, I've told myself, like, if anyone who knows me and like follows any of my social medias, they know I'm positive. I stay posting positive things. I don't be in people's business. I don't care what happened to you and your baby dad. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm about me and my husband and my kids. And if anyone's sad on Facebook, I hop on their status and say something positive and make sure they're, at least when they read it, they can smile and have a better day. That's me changing into that person, or just more transforming into that more positive person, has helped me a lot. When I say a lot, I mean, like, I probably would have never been able to start my business. I would have never been on the social medias that I am now, doing my makeup thing and just like talking with you guys. Like, I never would have done this. I would have been so caught up in the mix, in the drama, that it takes up your day. Like, it just takes up your day. Like, this video alone is, like, it's not going to be a 2-hour video, but I'm going on 2 hours trying to get this together. Like, it just takes up time to be malicious, to just, you guys know what I mean. Like, it takes up your day. And I have more productive things to do during my day than the things that they as people like to do. So We're no longer family. We don't communicate. I like it better that way. I'm a better person because of it. If I could take that day back where I knocked on the door, I probably would. I feel like I didn't become whole as a person until I realized my worth. And it wasn't like what was missing in my life, it was what I was missing in myself. Like there was something within me that I wasn't seeing that other people could see. And it was, when I figured it out, it was awesome. It was amazing for me. I just stopped a lot of things. Anyone who knows me up until this point can see it. Because they're always like, you just glow. You're so positive. Like, just how do you do it, girl? It's a job in itself. It's not, I mean, not really. It's not hard to be nice. It's actually harder to be mean because you just got to think of mean shit to do to people. But I'm a better person now. So I can't say I regret 100% meeting them. You know what I mean? But like without meeting them, I would have never, I probably wouldn't be, I don't know. I can't say I wouldn't be the person I am today because like before I met them, I've always been bubbly. I've always been positive, but it's like, I'm just more bubbly and more positive and I'm back to my original self. I'm better than my original self. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can thank them for that. That's about it. Like that's all they get. But that's my story. And if, like I said, if you would like to know more of why I don't speak to my alleged father or brother, I can do a whole nother story. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with that if you guys really want to know. But that was the adoption video that I agreed upon and why I don't speak to my grandmother. That's it for this video, guys. Yeah, catch you in the next one. Oh my god, that video took so long. Sorry for the super down and depressed video, but it was requested, so I did it. Like I said 1,000 times in the video, I will do an extra one on more in detailed why I don't speak to two of the parties of that side of the family. Just let me know in the comments what you guys think. Yeah, all social medias will be linked below, and hope you guys have a blessed day.